So we tested custom roles in the last session. Today's session, we'll pick the topic called as subledger accounting. So when you create the transactions in any subledger application, with the help of the subledger accounting method, accounting takes place. So we'll just look into the structure of subledger accounting method. If at all we want to modify Oracle provided accounting method, if you want to create our own accounting method, what process need to be followed, we'll see that. So when we talk about subledger accounting method, for every application, within the subledger accounting, for every application, we'll have a journal entry rule set. Let me write it one by one. Say SLA. And these are the different naming conventions. Simply you can call it subledger accounting, subledger accounting, SLA, subledger accounting method, SLAM. Subledger accounting method you can call as a SLAM. Just select. You can call it as a SLA or SLAM. SLA means subledger accounting, SLAM means subledger accounting method. Both are same. You can just represent with any name. So within the SLA, okay, for every application, you can find the rules which will help us to create accounting. Take example, payables. Within the payables, you will find the event classes. As per SLA, you find the event classes. So what are the event classes within the payables? Creating standard invoice is one, we call as one event class. Debit memo is event class, credit memo, prepayment, and payment, all we call as event classes. As per SLA, okay, we can have a journal entry rule set for event classes. Journal entry rule set. Say for standard invoice, we can have a journal entry rule set. Within the journal entry rule set, we can find journal line rules. Which will decide the line is debit line or credit line. And again, classification, whether it is expense or liability, all can be determined by journal line rule. And by grouping the rules, you can find account rule. Accounting rule to derive the account code combination. Okay, with the help of account rule, we'll be able to create the account code combinations. If at all you want to create accounting code combination based on certain condition, we can use the concept called as mapping set to build some conditions. To build the conditions, you can use the mapping set, but mapping set is not mandatory. Mapping set is not mandatory. If required, we can use it, otherwise not mandatory. So within the SLA, for every application, you can find all this. We are taking the just use case for payables. The payables, what are the different type of transactions? Say invoices we create. Each invoice or payment what we create, we call as the event class as per SLA. So each invoice type as per SLA, we call as the event class. And for each event class, if you want to create standard invoice, system should generate the accounting for standard invoice. For standard invoice, we'll have a journal entry rule set. So within the journal entry rule set, we'll have a standard invoice, debit memo, credit memo, related rules to create the accounting entry for journal entry. Means when you create accounting within the payables, that will be converted into journal entry. That is the reason we are calling as a journal entry rule set. And within the journal entry rule set, say you created an invoice, standard invoice. For that, system has to create debit and credit line. To generate the debit and credit lines, we have a journal line rules. We have a journal line rules, and in the journal line rule, by combining the journal line rule, we'll create one rule that we call as account rule. So account rule will derive the account code combination, and also we create the mapping set if required. Based on any condition, if you want to derive, we can do that. So first we'll go through Oracle provided accounting method. Okay, we'll just go through Oracle provided accounting method. Then we'll see how it can be customized if required. How that can be customized if required. We'll go through those points also. So go to SLA. You search for accounting methods. Okay, here manage accounting methods. Right. Click on accounting methods. Right. Now, which is the Oracle provided accounting method that you can see. Whatever we selected in the primary ledger definition, that is Oracle provided seeded accounting method. Here is the Oracle provided method. Standard accrual. Okay. So standard accrual. Click on standard accrual. Within the standard accrual, you could see payables, cost management, assets, receivables. For all the applications, we have event classes. Okay. So for every application, we have a journal entry rule set. Okay, for every application, journal entry rule sets are assigned. These are the rule sets for every application. So you have a payables application. Here is the payables. Within the payables, what we have? We have event classes. Within the payables, these are the event classes. Invoice, an event class. Once you reconcile the payables payments in the cash management, for that also our system will generate the accounting and future dated payments. Already we have seen bills payable and payments and refund type of payment and credit memo, debit memo, prepayment application. For all these, we have a event classes. Those all we treat as event classes. And for each event class, we'll have a journal entry rule set. If you take example of invoice, here is the rule set. Rule set is nothing but journal entry rule set. Okay. So here they are given as a journal entry rule set assignment. For each event class, the respective journal entry rule set is assigned. Now, next point here is journal line rules. Click on journal entry rule set. So inside of the journal entry rule set for invoice, you'll have a journal line rules. Here is a liability rule. The same way you can see item expenses. These are the journal line rules. Account rules. Okay, here is the account rule. If you take example of journal line rule called as liability basis, here is the account combination rule. Simply you can call as account rule. Okay. Mapping set. Open this account rule. Okay, journal line rule is liability basis. Account combination rule is liability. Click on liability account, which is account rule. Mapping set. Okay, here we are not using any mapping set. Oracle is not using any mapping set. We will see how to create mapping set also. So what is the account rule? How they created? So how system has to derive the liability account? Invoice liability account. So invoice liability account means, so whenever you create invoice, system derives liability account from supplier side or common options. First, it will take to invoice header level. The same account it will use for accounting entry. So whatever system will default the liability account from anywhere, any source, but ultimately it will come to invoice header. Okay, go to invoice creation page. Go to show more. Under accounting, we have liability account. So here is the rule. What it says, invoice liability account. Whatever the liability account is available in the invoice header level, by using that liability account, it should create accounting entry. That is the meaning of invoice liability account. This account system can derive from supplier side. If not available at supplier side, it will take from common options. Yep. So that's how it is. And just click on done. And we'll go and check journal line rule related to expense, which will be debit account. So item expense. When you create manual invoice, item expense account would get debited. Click on item expense. Okay. Okay. We just clicked on journal line rule. Item expense. Click on account rule. So, debit line how system has to take invoice distribution account. Okay. So within the invoice, whatever the account is available in the distribution, that account it should take. That's all. So within the invoice distribution, whatever the account is available, that account should be derived to create the accounting entry. Given the source as invoice distribution account. So this is how the account rules are available. Based on that, system is deriving whatever the distribution account is available in the invoice, that account it will take as a debit. Okay, you can see here that it is a debit or credit. This account rule, that is account rule. If you click on journal line rule, here if you see, clearly mentioned it as a debit. Okay, it's a debit. The distribution account system will take as a debit. So this is how we have a rules. We have SLA, which we have for all the Subledger applications. If you take example of payables, within the payables, what are the different transactions we record? Those we call as event classes. And for each event class, we have a journal entry rule set is assigned. And in every journal entry rule set, we have a journal line rule, which will determine that account, the account code combination that should be debited or credited to. This can be determined by journal entry rule set rules. For the rule level only, we have to map the account rule also. For which line, based on which rule, system has to create account code combination. For a debit rule, okay, for debit journal line rule, which code combination it has to take, from where it has to take. For credit rule, which code combination. We have seen journal entry rule for liability, where system has to derive from the invoice level, what are the liability account it should take. For credit, we have seen, so for debit, we have seen system will take distribution account. Okay, invoice distribution account. That's how rules are available. And Oracle didn't create any mapping set. Oracle is not using mapping set. We'll see how to create the mapping set also, if you want to derive the accounting based on some conditions. Okay. So these are the key components to understand how this SLA is designed. Okay. Just we will see once again. Okay, this is SLA serial one, standard approval. And payables, within the payables, we have event classes. For each event class, we have a rule set. If you click on rule set, inside of rule set, you can have journal line rules. For each journal line rule, we have account rule. Account rule or account combination rule, anything you can call. So if you open the account rule, inside of account rule, how system is going to, from where system is going to take the respective account to create account code combination, that is very clear. Yeah. Now, if you want to customize, this SLA, how to customize? Okay. Ideally, we use the seeded one, but if at all we want to customize, what steps need to be followed to customize this SLA, we'll see. Now, if you look at Oracle provided SLA, here you cannot do any changes. You see here, for example, liability account rule I want to change. Here there is no option to add any new journal line rule or no option to remove also. Okay, we cannot remove. Just click on done. I want to change this rule set. For invoices, I want to use a new rule set. We cannot delete it. You see here, even if you select, you cannot remove, there's no option to create. So whatever Oracle is providing, the seeded SLA, we cannot modify. We cannot edit or we cannot add anything. The seeded SLA. If you want to do any changes, what we have to do is, we have to copy Oracle provided SLA, and there you can do the required changes that finally we can assign to our primary ledger by using the ledger options. Okay, by using the ledger options. Now we'll take the simple requirement. Say for example, The requirement is system has to derive liability account based on the supplier. Okay. Your system has to pick liability account based on supplier. But again, you don't want to give liability account at supplier site level, still system has to pick. You don't want to give liability account site level. Based on supplier, system has to pick the liability account. If this is a business requirement, okay, we may customize the SLA. Here we can use a mapping set for condition. In the mapping set, what we can do is, if supplier is X, which liability account? If supplier is Y, okay, which liability account? This is how we have to specify. For X, one liability account, Y, another liability account, for supplier G, another liability account. So this is how we can specify accordingly whenever we are going to create the transaction with these suppliers, system will derive the relevant liability accounts. Okay. So relevant liability accounts, this we can achieve with a mapping set. And we have to copy everything and we have to modify. We'll see that first. First, we'll see how to create the mapping set. Okay. First, we'll see how to create the mapping set with respect to conditions. Okay, the condition, how to create the mapping set, we'll see. So first we'll just create mapping set. After creating the mapping set, by using this mapping set, we have to create the account rule. We need to create account rule. So create account rule. Okay, we'll create the account rule. So where we have this journal line rule and account rule, everything we have within the journal entry rule set. Now, whatever the seeded journal entry rule set Oracle is providing, we have to copy within that copied journal entry rule set. We can update this account rule information for the specific journal line rule. Okay, so we have to copy Oracle provided journal entry rule set. Within that only we can accommodate these two. So what we have to do? Copy journal entry rule set. So we copy journal entry rule set, and whatever the account rule we are creating, that we have to add in that. Okay, we have to incorporate the custom account rule which you are creating. Simply you can take assign account rule to journal entry rule set. And finally, we have to copy the seeded SLA. Okay, finally we have to copy the seeded SLA. Within that SLA, we have to add our journal entry rule set. So copy seeded SLA and just add, or say, yes, you can say add or assign. Add journal entry rule set. The journal entry rule set we are copying, that we can call as custom. Since we are copying, we can call as custom. So add custom journal entry rule set and validate it. Okay, just validate. So when you are doing the changes, system will update the status as a not validated. So we have to make sure that that is submitted for validation. Finally, the custom SLA we can assign to our primary ledger. So assign custom SLA to primary ledger. So these are the steps we have to follow if you want to do the customization to SLA. Mapping set is not mandatory. If you want to create the mapping set, you can create, or else directly you can create the account rule. But here we are taking some case where some conditions need to be specified, or else directly you can create the account rule also. And we have to copy the journal entry rule set which Oracle providing. And to that we have to assign whatever the account rule we are creating. Finally, we have to copy the seeded SLA and we have to add the custom journal entry rule set and validate and assign custom SLA to primary ledger. So these are the steps we have to follow. Okay, we'll go and see that. First, we'll see how to create the mapping set. Click on cancel, done. Search for mapping sets. Manage mapping sets. We are going to create for payables application. Mapping sets. So click on create. Alt or else simply you can name it as supplier liability mapping set. You can take alt as a prefix or you can take XX as a prefix since we are creating some new one and provide the same name as a short name. Should be uppercase. Now, input source based on what you want to derive the liability account based on supplier name. So input source you select as a supplier. Click on add. Here multiple sources you can find, but we are going to select event class related to invoice. Select invoices and search. You will find based on what sources you can create this condition. You can see all the sources here. So you can use any source. Okay, but we discussed based on the supplier. The different sources. You can say if invoice group name is equal to so and so, that's how you can create. So many based on invoice type also you can set. Okay, so based on invoice source. Many sources are available. So to create the condition, any source you can use. A big list. Okay, still big list is there. What we can do is just to filter, we'll search with the supplier. Okay. So based on supplier name or based on the supplier site name, anything you can take here. Okay, here based on supplier site name, or here you can say supplier also. Based on supplier name, anything just on what base you want to derive the liability account, accordingly you can choose. So just I'm selecting supplier name. Okay, here you can find the value set for all the supplier are stored in the specific value sets. Okay, so specific value sets here you can search for contains. So supplier related. Okay, you can just use this suppliers value set. This Oracle auto-created value set. Okay, we no need to create. These all are Oracle auto-created. So anyone you can choose. Like so within this, suppliers information will be available. Okay, I'm selecting this. This is the one of the value set which Oracle creates automatically. Okay, Oracle creates automatically. Select. Now, here select chart of accounts, Alt INC. Now, within this value set, what are the suppliers we have? Those suppliers you can see here as a part of mapping. Click on add. So all the suppliers you can see here. From where we are getting all the suppliers from this value set. How we got all the suppliers in this value set? Whenever you create the supplier, automatically Oracle is storing that supplier information in this value set. Now select our supplier. We created as a Alt INC corporation. Here, if supplier is Alt INC corporation, so what is the liability account system has to fetch that you can provide. And you can add one more supplier, say ABC Consulting. You can provide another liability account. You are maintaining the multiple liability accounts, you can provide. Just for testing, I am giving random. You just map another supplier. So this is how you can list out. Okay, this is how you can list out suppliers under respective code combinations. Say save and close. So this is how we can create the mapping set. Okay, we can select specific source and we can create the mapping set. Now we need to create.
We have more suppliers, more number of suppliers. We may have to create lot of account like this, right?
Yeah, one time you have to create, even if it is not applicable for all the suppliers. Say you have a requirement for few suppliers only you have to set. If for the so-and-so supplier liability account is not mapped, which liability account it has to take as a default that you can set in the account rule. Now we are going to see that also.
Okay.
Yeah. How we
Sir, one thing,
accordingly we can set. Yeah.
does it mean like if we are choosing this account, does it mean like while creating invoice, the accounting should go in this?
When you create invoice,
The accounting should go in this account. I mean,
yeah, this is the
this
account.
is what it means
Yes, this is the account system has to derive.
for these particular suppliers. Rest for all,
Correct,
it will
correct,
take
correct.
from.
Yes,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
For that, how it should respond if account is not available here, mapping level, in the mapping set level. Okay, if supplier, say three suppliers are there, for three suppliers, you given these three different account code combinations. So now you are
Okay.
going to enter invoice with the fourth supplier. How system should behave if these are not applicable, that we are going to set in the account rule. Both will include.
Okay.
That will
Okay.
include,
Okay.
okay. If for so and so new supplier, if you are creating invoice, since mapping set level, you don't have that supplier under that relevant account code combination. Then what system should do, we can set here.
Okay. Okay. And in the value set list, so whatever we choose, everything will have these supplier details, right?
All suppliers, if you have a supplier in the system, it should be in that value set. That's how Oracle created that value set. It's a Oracle provided value set.
So in the list, whatever we choose, that will include this
Yeah, all
information.
the, if you have a supplier
Okay.
in the
Okay.
system, it would be there in that list.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Now we'll see how to create the rule, account rule. Here is the task called as manage account rules. And just click on create. XX liability rule. Select our chart of accounts. And rules. Just click on add. So we want to use mapping set. Select mapping set. Which rule Oracle used for liability? This rule. Source. And they used invoice liability account, right? This is the rule Oracle used, seeded rule. Invoice liability account, invoice level, okay. What are the liability account is available, that account it has to take as a credit line. That is the rule Oracle used. Now we are using the mapping set, select mapping set. Select mapping set, whatever we created. Okay. So in this mapping set, we have only two suppliers, or two suppliers only can derive the account code combination. If user is going to enter the transaction with the third supplier, what system has to do? For that, you can give one more condition here. Just click on add row. Here you can select constant. And here you select different liability account. Just for testing, I'm picking this. Now priority one is this rule, mapping set. First system will look at mapping set. As per mapping set, for that supplier liability account is not available, then priority two rule is this, condition is this. It will take this constant account code combination. That's all. So this is how you can specify. First, to make sure that everything you are accommodating within this mapping set. If anything is missing, then it will look for priority two. Okay, the first condition is mapping set. It has to take liability account, liability rule, liability account based on the mapping set. If supplier is not included in that mapping set, it will look for priority two. So that's how system will take this combination, so that for every supplier, system will derive the account. If available, it will take from this. If it is not available, it will go to priority two condition and it will derive the account code combination. That's how it works. Now say, save and close.
Can we call this a rules hierarchy?
That is a hierarchy. That is a priority is a hierarchy only. First priority one, then it will see priority two. Still, if you want to have priority three, you can have. We cannot build any kind of hierarchy. It will look at priority, accordingly it will derive. Okay, so priority only. It's not like a hierarchy. So clearly the naming convention is priority. That's all.
Yeah, Lakshman, but by default, we can ask them to pick from invoice options, right? Not constant value.
See, constant means, okay, constant means, so here.
No, see, basically, when we create invoice, it will pick from invoice options, right? Common options for the liability account.
Yeah,
But
yeah, see,
instead
you
of
can do that,
constant,
is
like,
up to you. See, in that case, you select source,
okay,
okay, what Oracle is following, same you can do.
okay, fine, then,
Everything
yeah,
is fine. What you can do is, you give invoice liability. That is
okay, fine.
nothing but the account which is coming from supplier side are common options to invoice header level. Invoice liability account means whatever the account is coming to this header, it may come from invoice of supplier side are common options, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, got it now. Yeah, thank you.
Here you can set. How you
Yeah.
require, you can specify. That's all. Now say save and close. Done. Now, so we created mapping set. By including mapping set, we create account rule. Now this account rule we have to include in the journal entry rule set, but it is not possible. We cannot include in the seeded one. See, go to manage subledger journal entry rule sets. Okay, here for invoice related, go to invoice related. Event class should be invoice. It should be seeded. Here is a invoices. This is the journal entry rule set, invoice accrual basis. Open this. For this liability line, we want to add our account rule. Just now we create account rule. We have to add here. And we have not possible. You cannot remove this or you cannot add anything. So that is the reason this journal entry rule set, entire rule set we have to copy. Now copy this journal entry rule set. The name is journal entry rule set name is invoice accrual basis, which is given map to invoice event class. Now select and duplicate. Say XX invoice accrual basis. Select our chart of accounts. Say save and close. Now the entire journal entry rule set system will copy for our event class called as invoice. Just wait for a moment. Okay, copied. Now within the copied journal entry rule set, we can go and change rule for liability. Okay, journal line rule is liability. Your account combination field is open now. Now, the liability account rule, what we have? Invoice liability account. That we don't need. Remove this and select whatever we created. This is the rule we created. Select it. Okay, that's all. This is what we have to change and say save. Now the status is incomplete. Now go to actions, select change status, say activate. Say yes. Now the status is active. Now click on save and close. Done. So we copied the seeded journal entry rule set and we assign our account role. Now this account rule, whatever we create, whatever the journal entry rule set we created now by copying, that we cannot add to Subledger accounting method, what Oracle is providing. Go to manage accounting methods, go to seeded one. Here is the seeded one, standard accrual. Now, so event class is invoice. And here the rule set name is invoice accrual basis. We created our own. Can we replace? No. You cannot remove or you cannot add. Now, our requirement, this we have to change. For invoice event class, the rule set we want to change. We created as a XX invoice accrual basis. That we want to add, not possible. That is the reason the entire SLA we are going to copy. So go to seeded one, select standard accrual, select, click on duplicate. So XX standard accrual. And select our chart of accounts. Save and close. Now copied. Now you will be able to change. Okay, here is the event class called as invoice. Now this plus icon plus remove icon or enable. Now two options we have. Completely you can delete this invoice accrual basis and you can add again whatever you created, or else whatever Oracle is providing, you can end-date it. I'm going to end-date this event class called as invoices, rule set as invoice accrual basis. I'm going to end-date with yesterday date. We'll be adding our rule set from today date. There should not be date gap also. If you are ending with yesterday, with the today date, you have to stop. So click on plus icon, select event class as invoice, select event type as all, and select rule set whatever we created. Invoice accrual basis. And effective start date you can give 26th. It is ending with the 25th. You have to start with the 26th. There should not be date gap also. So now save it. Since we copied and did the changes, here you can see the status. For payables, status is incomplete. For payables, status is incomplete. Now you have to activate here. Even you can just notice here. Okay, the changes what we did accordingly. So system is updating the status. You just click on activate. It will run on program. ESS job, it will run the background. From here itself, you can see the update. It will validate. Okay, during this program, the changes what we did, accordingly it will validate. If everything is fine, it will just confirm as a completed, or else it will throw error message. Say okay. Now for payables, see the status as a active. So that means within the payables for all event classes, what are the rule sets, inside of the rule sets, whatever we mapped, everything as expected. Now click on save and close. So this is how you can create the mapping set if required, or else directly you can create the account rule. And we copy the journal entry rule set which Oracle is providing for specific event class, and we assign account rule and copy the seeded SLA because whatever the journal entry rule sets we create, those we cannot include in the seeded SLA. So we have to copy the seeded one. That means we are creating the custom SLA and we are adding what are the journal entry rule sets we are creating and make sure that that is validated. And finally, you can assign to primary ledger, okay, by using the ledger options. So once you assign, based on that, if you create the transactions as per SLA, what rules are created, system will start functioning. Okay. We'll go and assign. Go to ledger options. Specify ledger options. Click on specify ledger options. So we are using accounting method as standard. Now we have a new accounting method that you can choose. XX standard accrual. So this you can choose and save and close. From now, if you are going to create any invoice, it will go to payables, it will look at event classes matching with invoice. If invoice, there is a mapping set and which is associated with the rule and rule is assigned to the event class called as invoice and which is incorporated with the journal entry rule set which is assigned to invoice. That's how it will check which supplier we are taking. If the supplier is in the list of the mapping sets, what accounting code combination need to be derived, it will take. If supplier is not in the list, it will take the constant, or else you may give some source based invoice liability account. Whatever you are specifying, accordingly it will derive. Okay. So these are the points you have to understand, but ideally you no need to go and customize. So you can use the seed SLA. When you create the primary ledger calendar, chart of accounts, we have to create. Currency Oracle is providing, accounting method also Oracle is providing. So both we use. If any reason, if you want to do any changes, any level. So these are the points you should aware so that you will be able to do that. Yep, these are the points you have to make a note related to SLA. Fine. Other next point here. Yeah. Now we'll see creating journal and accounting entries and transferring to GL. What we did is we have seen how to validate invoice one by one, how to create accounting for invoice or payment for individual transactions. So at a time, you can submit the validation. At a time, you can create accounting for all invoices and payments. Let's see that. Go to invoice workbench. If you go to task list, here you have a validate invoices. You have a validate invoices. And also we tested approvals. Approvals also we have seen. So creating invoice and we'll navigate to actions. There we say initiate. Instead of initiating one by one, say you created 20 invoices, all the invoices, approvals we can initiate in one go. Initiate approval workflow. Okay. Here you can initiate, you can give which business unit, accordingly you will be able to initiate. Okay, you can initiate Alt INC and you can submit. So with this business unit, what are the invoices are there which need to be submitted for approval? Automatically system will initiate. You no need to go and click on actions. No need to go to the section called as approvals. No need to select action called as initiate. Instead of doing all these for multiple invoices one by one, with one program, one ESS job you can submit. Wherever invoice status is required approval, all invoices will be initiated for approval. This is the program you can submit, or else this program you can schedule also. You can go to advanced and here you can schedule. You provide the parameter for which BU, then schedule. Say use a schedule. You can say daily, okay, days between run 1. Daily at what time it has to trigger. You can set here and you can submit. So then every day, okay, every day, or else not days, hours. Every 2 hours or every 2 hours 30 minutes. So you can just make a schedule. What system will do every 2 hours 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever you set. Every 2 hours 30 minutes, automatically system will trigger this program. What this program will do, it will look for the invoices which are available with the status as approvals required and which are not initiated, it will initiate. Then that approval notifications will go to write approvals. So you see the description what this program will do. It will initiate the approvals process and routes invoices to appropriate approvers. You don't need to click as a user, you don't need to click the manual intervention you can reduce. So you can just submit this or you can schedule it. So this is what you can do. And apart from that, even validation also. We are creating invoice and we are validating one by one invoice. You don't need to do that. Simply you can submit this program, validate invoices. Okay. Here you can just specify the default parameters, make sure that your BU selected, then click on submit. Within this BU, if an invoice is created, the status is not validated, the program will take care of all those and it will validate. Another point also, just notice what the validation will do. It will look after all these points. It will check, see that pop up. It will check the matching. Matching will understand when you work on the P2P cycle, means the invoice what we are creating. So the invoice is matched with the PO or receipt, all those points it will see. If any tax is applicable, it will see. When we are trying to validate whether period status also it will see. Whether the invoice what you created, the period status is open or closed or future enterable, it will see. If it is a future enterable, okay, it will accept. More than future enterable, if period status is say you create invoice in the current month, you can validate. You create invoice in the next month, future enterable, okay, it will accept. You create invoice with March month, it is not future enterable and it is not open. It won't validate. And it will see the conversion rates also. Okay, it will see the conversion rates, whether the rates, what are the invoice you are creating, if it is a foreign currency invoice, whether rates are available, it will see. And distribution information for invoice. Okay, whether distribution is provided for invoice or not, it will see. Okay, user tolerance template to apply holds and all. We'll see the holds and all. So those points, these all points system will consider. Okay. So this all it will check accordingly. It will update the status as a whether it is properly information is available. It will validate. So you can just submit. That's how it will validate all the invoices which are not yet validated. The same way you can submit the create accounting program. This program will create accounting for invoices and payments. Invoices which are validated and the payments which are just created and left. Just click on create accounting. Okay, click on create accounting. So apart from that, before that, you can just look at this another program. Apply missing conversion rates. Okay. So what it will do is, so you created some just invoices and all like some rates are missing. Say the it applies missing conversion rates for foreign currency invoice and payments. So you just created something and you didn't perform proper actions and again you updated rates and all. Okay, just you run this program. So wherever the rates are updated, wherever rates are missing, which you updated recently, if you run this program will update the rates as per the rates it will reflect in the specific invoice or payments which you are processing. If any rate changes and all, you do the changes, run this program, it will synchronize. Yeah. So if required, you can run this if you do some changes in between for the rates. Okay. And you can submit, create accounting program. So for which application you are running the accounting program. What create accounting program will do? It will create the journal entries with the help of Subledger accounting. So select payables, select our ledger. And process category. When you are running this create accounting program, so you want to run the create accounting for which category of the transactions in payables. In payables, we have a category like one category is invoice, another category is payments. If I select invoices, only for invoices, it will create accounting. If I select payments, only for payments. But we have to follow the sequence first for invoices, next for payments. If you don't select any category, it will run invoices and payments. It will run first for invoices, then payments, because without invoice accounting, we cannot create accounting for payment. And end date, till which date of the invoices and payments you want to create accounting. You want to create accounting till 25th. Okay, you may have invoices with the today date. For today date for invoice and payments, it won't run create accounting. Okay, it won't trigger create accounting for today's date. So end date, you can specify till which date of the transactions you want to run the create accounting. Okay, we have like accounting date. We have accounting date. That accounting date here system will be mapped with end date. And accounting mode, final. Okay, accounting mode is final. Final means it will create real accounting, or else you want to create the draft accounting first. Yes, you can create the draft accounting sample. You can view. If everything is fine, you may run the final. So just keep it as a final. And the process events, it has to process all the events. Okay, so like it could be, say earlier you submitted accounting and some invoice or payment accounting could not be completed, and it thrown some error message, some account is invalid. Okay, or some error events with the diagnostics, any issues we have in the system, we are not worrying about it. We are trying to attempt this create accounting for all. All means it may be new invoice or new payment or existing, or it may be ended with error, whatever it may be, again system will attempt. And reporting style. Whenever you submit this program, system will create on report. How you need that report? You need summary report or detailed report. So we need detailed report so that you can see the complete information for which invoice and payment accounting is created. And transfer to general ledger. Okay, transfer to general ledger. I want to set no. If I set transfer to general ledger, yes. Okay, system will create accounting entries for invoices and payment. That information will be transferred to general ledger. After transferring to general ledger, do you want to post that information automatically or not? That you can set here. I don't want to post automatically. I want to post manual process. So transfer to general ledger, yes. System will transfer these accounting entries to GL. Good. But I don't want system to post those automatically. I want to post it later. So you can set to no. That means for all invoice and payments, whatever the accounting entries will be created, that information, those accounting entries will be transferred to GL, but those journals will not be posted. Okay, if you want to post, set to yes. It will create accounting, it will transfer, and it will post. Okay, it is equal to post ledger, post to ledger. I don't want to transfer to general ledger. I don't want to transfer accounting entries to general ledger. Okay, I don't want to transfer this account information to general ledger application. I can set to no. So it means you are going to create accounting entries and you don't want to send to GL. You want to send GL later point of time. Okay. So later point of time you want to transfer. In that scenarios, you can set like this. If you set to yes, it will create and transfer. If you set to no, you have to submit another program to transfer. It will create accounting entries. Those will be there in the AP only. If you want to transfer to GL, you have to submit another program. Okay. So include user transaction. Okay, identifier with the transactions, usernames and all if you want to track and if you want to have a track of the transactions are created by which users and that information you can set to yes, or else it won't track user identity. Okay, so the transactions are created by whom and all, system won't update. So this is how you can set the parameters. Let's set transfer to general ledger no, so that we can understand which program we have to run. If you set to yes, you no need to run any another program. This program itself, it will create a transfer. So that's how you can submit this. Now submit.
Lakshman,
So, yeah,
here we are selecting the ledger, right? So what if you have a one ledger, multiple BUs, all the BUs will get submitted, right?
no. What will happen is this user got access to which BUs. For those BUs only this program will trigger.
Okay,
Yeah, that is a control. Say
thank you.
you might be working for one BU. There may be 100 BUs which are aligned with the same primary ledger. Okay, within
Yeah.
the scope of the access. That's all.
So, sir, I mean, it will look for data access, right? Manage data access and whatever views are assigned, it will look for that.
Correct. This user is permitted,
Mm-hmm.
okay, to perform the transactions for how many BUs? Those BUs. That's all.
Okay, and when we say transferring to GL, does it mean creation of journal entry?
Yes. First, it
Okay,
will create journal entry. That journal entry only it will transfer.
okay.
Journal entry
And
only. Yeah.
mhm. And sir, end date is, does it consider the transaction creation date or accounting date?
One second. Here,
Mhm.
if you go to create accounting, you can see what is the purpose. Create accounting means what we are trying to do. Create
Subledger,
subledger journal
journal.
entries.
Mhm.
Okay. The journal entry only you can see accounting entry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
End date means your end date means here, like if you go to any journal invoice,
Mhm.
show more. Accounting date you have, right?
Okay. So
This
it
date.
will, it will take the accounting date into
Yes,
consideration for this.
accounting
Okay,
date. Till which accounting date of the invoices, okay, you want to create accounting. It could be invoice or payment. Yeah, accounting date. Nothing but GL date.
okay. So even if the invoice transaction date is a future dates, but accounting date is in the current period, so still it will be considered, no?
Yeah, correct. That is
Okay.
not an issue. That is, yeah,
Mhm.
can be
Okay.
different, but always what we are trying to do, accounting we are trying to do, accounting is aligned with this date only. So that's how you
Okay.
do. Now we'll see the program status. We'll review the program. Go to schedule processes.
Lakshman, our custom SLA will trigger only when we create accounting only, right? Not at the time of invoice creation, right?
Yeah, yes. Only when you submit the create accounting, correct.
Okay. But not at the time of creation of the invoice, right?
No. At the time
Okay.
of creation of invoice, ideally it will take the default, right? Supplier site or common options, it will take that account. Whether finally the same should be used to create accounting entries or not, that system will decide. Because see, system is copying from the invoice option, common options or supplier site. That is just facilitating. Ultimately, accounting entry will be created based on the rule only.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how it works. Now here you can notice report is created. Okay, create accounting execution report. Okay, so execution report. So here you can open that report. click on republish, or else you can click on output name is default document. You can click on any one of that icon. And you can see the report what system created. Click on gear icon, export, select PDF. So we selected as a detailed, right? We selected as a detailed report we need. Okay. So here you can see detailed report. Okay, for each and every invoice and payment. This is for invoice type standard. Okay. So Alt INC Corporation is the supplier side corp, and the type is standard liability. Okay. Item expense, item expense account is debit, liability account is credit. So for which invoices and payments accounting entries are created, you can see here. You select a detail, that is the reason the detail for each and every invoice it is showing. Otherwise, with the same account, multiple are there, it will be just summing.
Sir, when we have in the SLA, we have defined for Alt INC a different account. So here, I mean, it should take that one, right?
Why it will take? Already we created transactions, right? After doing that, if you create the transactions for those, it would be applicable, not for existing.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And we didn't change also, just we created, and even ledger options level we have to select, we specified and we didn't specify. Okay.
Okay, okay.
We didn't do that, right? We didn't do. If you just map at your ledger level, if you start creating the transactions, or yes, you create again. So when we are creating, we are giving the effective date, right?
Yeah.
Right? If you remember, we end dated.
Right, right, right. Understood.
This is
Okay,
all system will check.
okay, okay. Yeah.
So these are the points you have to understand. Okay. And now these entries will not be available in the GL. Okay, these are just available only in the AP application. If you go to GL, because we didn't transfer, we just set parameter transfer to no. So only limited. Earlier, just for our testing purpose, whatever we entered, those few entries only you can see, like 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 378, 176. That's all. Limited. 3 payments and 2 invoices. But we have many invoices and many payments. That information is not available. Now we'll go and run the program. If you set parameter as a transfer to GL as yes, the data will come to GL. But we set to no. That means accounting entries are created but not transferred to GL. If you want to transfer, you can submit another program.
Now these data available in SLA tables, right?
Yes,
Lakshmi?
SLA only, yes. Okay, here just look for the program which will allow us to transfer entries. This is the one. Okay, post subledger journal entries. Okay, so post subledger journal entries, it initiates posting of subledger journal entries to Oracle Fusion General Ledger. So select this program. What it will do? So we have a data within the AP only. It will post Subledger journal entries, our AP journal entries to Oracle Fusion General Ledger application. Say okay. Now you want to transfer accounting entries, not creation, just transferring. From which application? You want to transfer from payables. If any accounting entries are available in the payables which are just created, not transferred, those it will transfer. Remember, it will transfer one time only. So if any invoice you created, that information is transferred to GL, the backend tables, it will mark as this invoice related accounting entry is already transferred. Transfer, it will set as yes. Only one time only you can transfer. We not a transfer, so now we are going to transfer. So ledger. So post in general ledger. Do you want to post in general ledger or not? Keep it as it will be posted. The journal batch name, and just if you want to give some name for this total journals which you are posting, you can specify. Click on submit. Refresh. Okay, done. Now we'll go and check the status within the GL. So all the items is same, right? It's not updating. Ideally, that is intended of the program. Okay. Maybe this just it may reflect after some time. But just make a note. That is the process. If you set parameters, yes, in one go it will transfer, create accounting and it will transfer. If you want to just post later, you can submit this program separately. That's how that accounting interest will be transferred separately. It has to show ideally. Why it is not show? Submit once again. programs completed. Now we'll go on. Just don't open. So look at that to create accounting program. Are there any issues with that? We'll check. Created accounting, but we'll check once. Create accounting execution report. Open if any issues within that, we'll see. Okay, okay. Seems to there are some issues here. Okay, that is the reason it is not transferring. The credit memos, debit memos, invoices, payments, the count, everything you can see here. So reference also we have one. Total final journal entry is 37, draft. Invalid journal entries, one is there. That is the reason it is not recurring. Journal entries, transfer 37. Some issue with the journal entry error warnings. Transaction number is this. This is a payment. Status is invalid. This was the date. The journal entry line cannot be accounted until the payable. After that reference fully accounted. Verify the accounting entries were created for the transaction. Identify the party alternates corporate sites also. Invoice. Cannot be accounted until yes. This is a payment. Go to payment workbench. It's unaccounted. It's not taking the liability account. Paid invoices. Invoice number alt 1. Okay. So invoice we create with the 10,000. Payments 2,000 we processed. Post to ledger. This accounting has been completed now. Item expense liability. Go to payment. Manage payments. Go to actions. So create accounting. Now created. Nothing, there is nothing wrong. Somehow system was not able to understand. Now run the create accounting program once again. Even from payment page also you can run create accounting. Payables. Alt. Just set whatever we need. So transfer no. First, if we want to create later, we want to transfer. Go to schedule process. Run the post program. Post subledger journal entries. Submit. Check the journals. Okay. Okay. So just run one more time, create account. Just the issue got resolved. Again, just you can submit. That may pass or else it might just struck temporarily. You run it. This is how just you can perform the create accounting undo with a one step or multiple steps. Just make a note of the point. You just try from your end.
Lakshman, it should hold only those transactions, right? Remaining should transfer to GL, right?
Yes, it should transfer. Here it is not happening. That is the reason just you are trying. The report also showed right 37
Yeah.
transactions. Somewhat in this environment, it is not showing. That's all.
Okay, but normally it will transfer the wherever
Yeah, the
valid
same
entries are.
report. Even report also you can see like it's a transferred over.
Yeah.
You go to the report.
No, we saw, I saw it, no
Yes,
problem.
yes, same point. It's not reflecting. It's not reflecting. That's the reason just you have to try. That's all. Yeah. But that is a process. That is a process we have to understand. Yeah. So done. So I'll pick few other items in the tomorrow session. Last weekend also we planned instant due to instances we could not. This weekend for sure, just we will spend good amount of time and we'll try to close many items. Yeah, we'll connect tomorrow. Tomorrow and after tomorrow also, please just plan at least minimum 2 hours time, Saturday and Sunday. So we can just get good mileage here. Yeah. We'll connect tomorrow, same time, 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.